Divine Feminine, this conversation will benefit you and your child more than a child support check ever could. Take the time to hear them out. So this message is definitely for one of those divine feminines that is potentially owed lots of money in back child support, right? So anyone who's owed lots of money is probably not going to want to hear this message, but I'm going to deliver the message as the dream was shown to me, right? And the reason I say that this is someone who's owed a lot of money in child support just because of the amount of anger and frustration that was coming off of divine feminine in this particular dream, right? So in today's economy, and not even just in today's economy, but like anything helps, right? Like it's specifically in today's economy, but always, like anything helps. So anyone who's owed hundreds, thousands of dollars, more than anything, is probably going to want that money. But if we're just being honest and like realistic with ourselves, there are thousands of people who are out there who are owed money and back child support. And just realistically speaking, and I say this as respectfully as possible, but like realistically speaking, everyone unfortunately is not going to get that money. You know, if we're just being realistic, like even in the dream that I had, and and even with, in that dream, there were specific circumstances, right? Like the divine masculine and the dream that I had about child support was someone who was working. He had income. He was just getting paid under the table, and he was getting paid in a way to where his money was going to his wife's bank account. That way everything was in her name, so there was nothing to be garnished. You know what I mean? From his name. So he was getting paid. He did have an income, and he was intentionally doing things in order to avoid having to avoid, he was doing things specifically to make it look like he didn't have an income, but he did. So in that case, if your situations or your circumstances are similar to that, then like spirit is going to work things out for things to come to light. But if you are someone, realistically speaking, where you're owed thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in back child support, but the person that you had children with is not working, and it is intentionally not working so that they will not have to pay, then realistically speaking, you're probably not going to be one of the ones to get that money, because if he has no income, what are they going to garnish? Like what bank accounts are they going to take the money from if he has none? Like if he truthfully has none. And then of course, like as always, not just taking what resonates and leaving the rest, but it's always being honest about your situation and your circumstances, because not everyone that's owed money is owed money from a divine masculine. Like a divine masculine is different, because even though a divine masculine can present in low vibrational karmic energy, that doesn't mean that if the person you're dealing with is in low vibrational karmic energy, that they're just a low vibrational divine masculine. You could in fact just be dealing with a karmic in which the situation is going to be a little bit different from you, right? Because if you're a divine masculine and you're behaving in low vibrational energy, the universe, like even for divine feminines, if you do things that are low vibrational, the universe has a way of like slapping you on the hand. For some people, a lot harsher than others, but the universe has a way of like correcting those things. But just because you're someone in a situation where you may be owed money, it could quite possibly be that the person you had children with is a karmic, and in that particular circumstance, you going through the hardship and the struggle that you're going through actually may be part of your karmic lesson. Because even though we all come down here for a specific path, we're all down here, to learn something and to navigate our way through this matrix, we still have free will. So the decisions that we make are a part of our own free will, and therefore we choose the consequences of such. So just because you have children with someone and you may be owed money does not mean that the person you had children with is a divine counterpart or is a divine being. You may have had children with a karmic, in which part of the road that you chose, and I don't want to offend anyone by saying this, but if you had children with a karmic, then you chose the path of kind of having to deal with that hardship. So you may be one of the ones who's not getting that money. Because I deleted a handful of comments. I on that child support video, I did respond to a few that I thought were pretty interesting. Most I just kind of left alone because I really don't want to be the one to tell people like, yeah, your situation, it's more likely than not you're not one of the ones who's going to get that money. And then a few comments I did have to actually delete just because of how nasty they were. Like, for the comments, for the people, and they were all women, and for the ones who were commenting and putting like really nasty things that I had to delete. And some of those circumstances, ma'am, you may actually be the karmic that the divine masculine is having to deal with. You know what I mean? Because just some of the attitude that people were giving me, like, I'm never going to get that money. You're lying. You don't know what you're talking about, ma'am. You're probably not going to get that money because the energy that you're exuding, you're not even in the you are not a divine feminine. Not the way that you're behaving, not the way that you're going on the internet randomly getting attitudes with complete strangers. Like, you're getting an attitude with me in my comment section as if I'm the one that owes you tens of thousands in back child support. Ma'am, I don't know you. I don't know your situation. I don't know the person that you're dealing with. But some people's attitudes like were literally so nasty, and I say this as respectfully as possible. Some people's attitudes were so nasty, I'm not surprised that man in your situation took off running. Because if you could come to a complete stranger's comment section and post such nasty comments to a complete stranger, I can only imagine what, excuse my language, what hell you're putting that man through on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? So for some people, like, I'm not surprised some of these men took off running. But with that being said, I still don't think that situation is fair to that child. But we have to just realize that our actions have consequences, and sometimes we have to really be truthful and say that, you know, maybe sometimes we chose wrong, or maybe sometimes like we we made a bad decision that led to the outcome that we're in. And I'm not saying that the children or having children was the bad decision. I'm just saying like who we chose to have children with is the bad decision. And for some people, like, I even remember having a conversation with like a classmate coworker, a coworker where they were like, you know, yeah, it was a classmate, who was like, you know, I had children with someone and I left this person because, you know, I felt that I could do better. And then after they left, this person moved on, and now they're in a situation where like they are raising, you know, their child alone as a single parent, and they never found that better, but they thought that they could do. Meanwhile, the person that they had children with moved on, is in a relationship, is happy, and they kind of not necessarily put themselves, but for lack of like better words, kind of put themselves in that situation of being a single parent. So we just everyone has to be honest with themselves about their circumstances. Just because you have hundreds of thousands of people who are owed money, everyone's circumstances are not the same. Therefore, the outcome can't possibly be the same for everyone, right? But needless to say, if you are someone who has been raising your child alone, doing this alone, then I can understand that there's going to be a level of frustration, a level of just general hurt, and sometimes that can mask itself as like pure anger and being enraged, right? But I'm going to ask you that if this particular dream is for you, and if you're one of the ones who's owed lots of money and you feel like you're not going to get that money, then this dream might actually be the one for you, where this conversation is going to be more of a benefit to you than that check ever could. And even though we know that, like I said, anything helps, for a lot of people, you're probably not going to get that money. You know what I'm saying? So in this dream, there was a child, a teenage child whose father reached out to them to have a heart to heart because they really wanted to sit down, they wanted to talk, they wanted to just discuss things. And this child, this there was like something about when the person called, like when I looked at the phone, the number showed up kind of like fuzzy, like it was kind of like blurred out, right? So there's something along the lines of like, this person is blocked. Like, you block this person, Divine Feminine, your child blocked this person, and this person having to like call from another number or call from like an unknown number in order to be able to get through, right? So this child is talking to their father. They're having a conversation, and you can just tell, like, just the look in the, excuse me, just the look in the child's eye, that the child was actually really excited, really happy to hear from their father. They were really happy to have this conversation. It was kind of like giving broken record energy, but there was something about, maybe this was a conversation that you and this Divine Masculine have had many times in the past, but this was the first time that the child was having this conversation with this person, where this person was like, hey, I'm sorry, I know I haven't been there. And this dream, this was someone who had children with like another partner. And this person was like stressing to the child, it's not that I like my other children better, it's just that the circumstances are different. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot that happens that you don't know about. And I know you're a child, and it's not, your responsibility. It's mine. I know I dropped the ball, but I want you to understand that I do love you no matter how things look, no matter how my actions may present. Just know that I do love you. You are very important to me. I know I need to do better. I'm going to do better. I just, really want you to forgive me. And I really want you to understand that no matter what has happened, that I do love you, and you are very important to me, right? And this child's eyes were kind of just like lighting up, like this was something that the child needed to hear, right? Because ultimately, Divine Feminine, even if you are, a single parent, and even though that person not being there, and quite possibly if you're someone who this person has intentionally done things to make things more difficult, yes, they might have created hardships in your life that have been very difficult, but at the same time, like, you're an adult Divine Feminine, you know what I mean? So you are intelligent enough to look at things and to move accordingly, whereas this child is being more so directly affected, right? Because the absence of this father in this child's life is going to impact their adulthood. Whereas you're already an adult and you're feeling the immediate implications of this person's either absence or their negative actions, if they have specifically been doing things to make things more difficult for you. This child is going to deal with the implications of that later in life, meaning as this child is growing up, decisions that they make, you know what I mean? The paths that they take, how they choose to handle conflict, or more likely than not, how they choose to run from conflict, the type of person that they choose in terms of like romantic partners, even in terms of friends, any sort of like intimate, close relationships, the type of behaviors that they're willing to accept from people because of what they have normalized as going through a child. Like, they've normalized absence from the people that supposedly they love or are supposed to love them, means that they've internalized that, and there are certain behaviors that they will accept from people that other people would be like, oh no, that's most definitely a red flag. So like, in terms of the long-term implications, the absence of this Divine Masculine in their child's life is going to affect that child in more ways than their absence has affected you, right? So we have to remember that. So there was something about like this conversation needing to be had between this Divine Masculine and that child. This relationship between that Divine Masculine and that child needs to be repaired. And that relationship being repaired is going to have more benefit to that child than a check would. You know what I mean? Even though in today's economy, if your child plans on going to college, for this being a teenager, that money really would help, especially trying to get a car, trying to do all these things, that money really would help. But in the long term for that child, that conversation is going to have way more long-term benefits than that one-time check ever would, right? So there's this need to divine feminine, put your feelings to the side. And when I say that, because in the dream, this divine feminine was irritated. She was like, why did you answer the call? Why? She wasn't saying these things. She did have enough tact, and because of the love she has for her child, she did not say anything. But it's almost like you could just see, you could literally see the frustration, waves coming off, or almost like a heat wave, just wave of frustration coming off of this divine feminine, because they were like, oh my goodness, my child had finally blocked this person. They had finally got it, to the point where they were like, I realize I don't need this person, I can do it, I'm strong enough, this and that. And now all of a sudden you're letting this person back in, because there was this energy of being like, okay, this is a broken record. We've heard it all. For some reason I'm hearing Sunshine Anderson, that song, Heard It All Before. You've said this how many times? So what's going to make it different this time? But for some reason, it really was giving the energy of it's going to be different this time, right? It's going to be different this time, because this divine masculine, really divine feminine, this divine masculine wants to have a conversation with you. But because you have blocked this person, and because you were at the point where you're like, I'm just not doing this anymore, this person knows that they just can't directly contact you. This person knows that if they contact you, if they don't come all the way correct, things are going to go all the way left. So they know they have to come absolutely right to keep things from going left on this conversation with you. But this person wants to have this conversation with you, but they already know that they've said this to you many times before over the years, and at this point you're just not trying to hear it. But there is something about needing to hear this person out, because it's going to benefit you. Because for some, this is giving I don't even want to say Lifetime movie. I forget what you call it, but this is giving movie. You know what I mean? This is giving whatever this person did was so, it was just so hurtful that it caused a deep wound in you, divine feminine. This is not someone who, you guys dated and they cheated on you, and this is one of those things where this person really, really, really hurt you, and it left a deep wound, right? This is someone who you know what I mean? When they, you guys had children, and then, or a child, and then they just left and abandoned you and left you with nothing, and having to completely start over, maybe even having to go back home to your parents. This is someone who when they left you, maybe you were a what do you call it, a stay-at-home mom, and you didn't have anything, and they left you and they took the house, and you had to, this is someone who left you destitute. This is one of those scenarios, or it gives the energy, even if this didn't happen, it gives the energy of someone who, when y'all broke up, maybe you guys had mutual banking accounts, and they drained the banking account to where you had nothing. This just gives that energy. And like I said, the situation and circumstances may not be that, but it gives the energy of someone who left you destitute, right? Who left you broken, because there's something about the interaction that you have, or the experience that you've had with this person, has prevented you from being able to move forward, right? And it may even be one of those situations where this person is oh, see, that's why they're not in a relationship, because they're still stuck on me. And it's true, but not in the sense that they think it is. It's not you're stuck on them, you're just waiting because you want them back. It's more you're stuck on what they did to you. So now your heart is I'm getting what is that, Omarion? There's an icebox where my heart used to be, where literally whatever this person did, you are so distrustful. You were so distrustful that you can't like you have difficulties opening yourself back up, even to the point where like maybe when you've dated other men, they tell you like either you're like too independent or you're too closed off, or they just like they just can't do it because there's what do I want to say? There's just too many wounds. There's too many wounds, or there's a wound that's just, it just runs too deep, right? Like I haven't had someone tell me that whenever they date, like even like they've dated men, they've dated good men, but it's something about when that man says he wants children that like sets off this red flag, because they're like, oh no, because immediately their mind goes to, okay, you want children, but what if this doesn't work out? Then I'm going to be, not to say stuck, because like I said, I don't want to say anything that makes it allude to the fact that I'm saying that children are the problem. But it gives this energy of like, anytime you meet someone and they say, oh, I want children, or like, I've like a friend that I was talking to in the past was like, yeah, I've dated really good men, men with like excellent qualities. But as soon as they say like, I want children, my mind immediately goes to, what if this doesn't work out? Then I'm going to be stuck being a single mom all over again. And I can't do that to myself. I can't do that to my child. This can't be the rest of my life. So it got to the point where like when anyone mentioned children, it became a red flag instead of it being like something good, instead of it being a green flag of a man who loves you, who is already stepping up. So like, you have to think about it. This man is stepping up because he's in a relationship with you and you're already a single parent. So he's already stepping up for a child who's not his. So if he has his own child, of course, he's going to do more. But it was just something about like whenever they heard I want children, it became a like, I'm getting like one of those alarms that's like, and it's like beeping really loudly and the red lights are going. It just became like this immediate, red flag, right? So there's something about like, this conversation is going to be different this time, and you needing to hear this person out, because you have to heal that wound, because there's a lot of good for some of y'all. The good things and the blessings that are coming as part of a relationship, because I've had dreams of like divine feminine, you stepping into this abundance. Like I'm talking about like literal financial abundance, but it being with this new partner. Like for some of y'all, when you meet this new partner, y'all are going to go into business together and y'all are going to be very, very abundant. For some of y'all, the person that you're going to meet is going to be very, very abundant, right? So there is going to be this level of abundance to where you're not even going to need that. I'm getting like that measly, like the amount of abundance that's coming in, that child support that you're owed is going to be like chump change, right? It's going to be measly to the point where you might even go drop the case because you're like, I done moved on. I got this new man. I don't even care. Like you wanted to go so bad, like just go. You know what I mean? But there's something about like, these new things can't come in because you have to like you that ice box where your heart is has to be healed first, because they're trying to bring good things into your life. And for some of you, not everyone, for some of you, these blessings are going to come through with this new partner, or you're not going to get these blessings until you meet this new partner. And that's not going to happen as long as you keep holding on to that hurt and that pain. So you need that conversation so that you can heal. You need to heal, because there's something about the avenue that spirit is trying to bring these good things into your life is going to require you to show up the healed version of yourself. You know what I mean? So you need to have this conversation. And I'm telling you, like for somebody out there, once you have this conversation and you finally let all of this go, literally the blessings that are coming in for you are going to be so grand that you're not even going to care about that back support anymore, right? And that may be like difficult to grasp now, or it may be something that you don't want to grasp now, because a lot of people are like, nah, I kind of really want that money, right? But I'm telling you, what's coming for you is so much better. And not even just that, the dreams that I've been having, like I got up, and this dream that I had about this child having this conversation with their father, I actually had last week, right? And I've been meaning to record it, but since I changed to day shift, once I get up and I start getting ready, day shift is a little bit more traffic than going to work at night, because there's a lot more people out on the road because, majority of people work, the standard, day shift hours. So I have to pay attention when I'm driving. So it's not really as easy for me to record while I drive as it is in the evening. So it's taking me longer to do my videos now. There's more gap between my videos. But I had this dream last week, and I'm glad that I did, kind of wait, because even the dream that I just had last night, which is like right now, it's like 1:00 in the morning. And I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and do that now, because even the dream that I had last night, for somebody, and this may even be for several people, your divine masculine, the person that you have children with, actually really wants to be with you. And I'm not making excuses for anyone, because y'all know, like, we're all adults. We all have our own free will. And because we all have our own free will, we all have to deal with the consequences of the decisions that we choose. And sometimes consequences are not always bad. There's like another word I could use for it, but I can't think of it right now, because sometimes the decisions that we make have good consequences. Like, things work out quite well. And for some of us, because I know I'm one of those people where, what was that thing that my brother actually shared with me just the other day? Y'all, my brother sent me something the other day, and it was something that he saw on Facebook. So when he sent the link, I did have to go log into Facebook to see it. And I have to go back and rewatch it, as long as all of her information is in there, because I don't ever want to make it seem like I'm taking credit for somebody else's video or their like ideas and concepts. So as long as all of her information is in there, I'll create a short. But he sent me something the other day, and it was like spiritual gifts other than like the clairvoyances, other than the voyances, right? And one of them was talking about like a deflector, right? Which I thought was so interesting, because like, if y'all ever like met one of those people who like everything always works out for them, like, not to say that they don't go through hardships, because like if you make a bad decision, you are going to go through some sort of hardship, as a result of that, right? But there are like some people where, like, let's say you have two people, very similar situations, very similar decisions, take the same, almost identical road, but then this person's life like completely veers to the left, whereas this person may get a little bit off course, but things still pretty much work out for them in the end, right? It was called like a deflector, where it's like things always work out for you in the end. And I've never, like, I didn't know that there was like a name for it, right? But there was like a list that this woman gave of like other spiritual gifts, and a deflector being one of them, where it's like one of those things where even if you make bad decisions, things always like, it was something about like things always work out for you, right? Where like, spirit, because if you're a divine being and you're out here just making reckless decisions, you still have to go through the consequences of that. Like, right, you still have to, because you have to learn the lesson. But like, your consequences may be like a slap on the hand, versus someone else, I'm getting like a slap on the wrist, like cuffs being slapped on the wrist, right? Like the complications and the implications of your actions may be a little bit different. Whereas I have heard some people say, when divine beings do things, they actually go through harsher punishments because they're a divine being, and because because I remember what video was I watching on YouTube where someone was like, you have like karmics who will go out here and steal something from the store and they'll get away with it. And then a divine being will try, and next thing you know, they get like, probation, or like, 5 years, or like they get all this stuff. And the guy was like, it's because of the divine being. You're supposed to know better, so you're going to go through a harsher punishment. This is actually like the exact opposite of that, of what this person was saying, because and this of course being if decisions that you are making don't have like grand scale consequences, you know what I mean? Like, if the things that you're doing more so affect you and maybe like the immediate people close to you, you know what I mean? Like the consequences of it are going to be literally like minute compared to like somebody else, right? So it was called like a deflector. And I thought that was interesting. But even if you are a deflector, you still, to a certain extent, do have hardships that you have to go through if you're just out here making bad decisions, because this is a lesson, right? Earth is a matrix. It's a school. We come down here to learn something, and Spirit is going to make sure you learn that lesson, even if they have to force you to go down the hard road to do so, right? So there's something about like just needing to have this conversation, because the implications of it are going to be the benefits of it are going to be like literally like grand scheme, right? Grand scale, right? But like I was saying before, I like got off track because I'm continuously getting off track. For some of you all, this person does want you back. Like with the dream that I had just tonight, this person does want you back. But the thing about this dream that I had tonight, that like, I'm trying to be positive, because the one I had tonight really irritated me, right? Because for the dream I had tonight, this was someone who, if you have a divine masculine that you had children with, and this is a divine masculine, not a karmic, please know your situation, because not everything applies to everyone. You know what I mean? If you're a person who had kids with a divine masculine, in this dream, this divine masculine wanted you back. Like, he wanted you back. He loves you. He was finally admitting to himself and his close, because it was like him, it was like his sister, and it was like a cut, like not a brother, like a cousin, right? Somebody else in the dream. And he wanted you back to the point where like he wasn't even afraid to say it in front of his family anymore. But no matter how bad he wanted you back, no matter how bad he loved you, he still was with this other person. And in this dream, this divine masculine was married. He was still with this other person, and there was like some level of fear. You know what I mean? Not like fear isn't like he's just scared, but there was like maybe I shouldn't say fear, but there was like something about he loved you and you were the person he wanted to be with, but he just couldn't bring himself to actually divorce his partner, even though he wanted to be with you. And even in this dream, he was like, she's not who I thought she was. Things are not going well. I'm not happy. We're going through a lot. There was something about him just like, I almost want to say, because he was so kind-hearted. And I know like it sounds weird, because I'm like, what he's doing to you is not indicative of someone who is loving and kind-hearted. But it's almost like, how do I explain this without it sounding stupid? It's almost like he's so kind-hearted that he won't walk away from the person that he's with, because he doesn't want to devastate and break their heart, even though he knows that by staying with them and being with them and something about, because he's with them, that's what affects his interaction with you. And once again, I'm not he's still responsible for his own actions. Regardless of why you're doing it, you're still doing it. Like, you know what I mean? Regardless of why, you're still doing it, and your actions are still affecting other people, regardless of if you feel like you're doing it for a good reason. You know what I mean? But it's something about like the way he interacts with you has a lot to do with this person, because maybe this person is insecure. Maybe this person deep down knows, because I feel like as women, like, you know if the person that you're with is still in love with their ex. Like, you know, you can pretend all you want, but you know. So there's something about the way he interacts with you has a lot to do with this person. And even though he wants to be with you, and even though he knows that, his absence is causing hardships and lots of, difficulties in your life, he's trying to make this other person that he chose to be with and that he chose to marry happy. And there's something about, because he's so kind-hearted, he doesn't have the heart to just walk away from this person and divorce this person and leave them in a place of hardship and destitution. So he's choosing to suffer through that, because that was his choice, because he married them, because that was his decision. It's almost like he's in this place of where like he chose his bed, so now he's choosing to lie in it. You know what I mean? Even though he knows that he has the choice, that he can walk away, he made his bed, so he's choosing to lie in it, even though he really wants to be with you. And a lot of it, that's why I said like this conversation is going to be beneficial, because a lot of the reason of him staying with this person is because he feels like he's done so much, that even if he were to leave this person, that he knows he couldn't go back to you anyways. And I kind of would like, for some people, and I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, at all. But even if you choose to have this conversation with this person and they do openly, admit that to you, I'm really advising that, like, you don't give this person a second chance. Even if you're someone, and some people, some divine feminines, y'all have to like admit this to yourself. Like, don't say anything in the comment section, but just admit this to yourself, because a lot of the divine feminines that are holding on to this anger is because deep down you still love that person and you just don't want to admit it. And that's fine. That's fine. Keep it to yourself. Go talk to a counselor. You know what I mean? Talk to your grandma. I don't care. Do what you need to do, but you need to heal it regardless. You need to heal it. But some divine feminines really need to open up, because a lot of the hurt and a lot of the reasons why you've been struggling is because you just don't want to admit that you do still love this person. You know what I mean? But after everything that some of y'all have been through, even in this, if this person does admit to you that they want you back, I would be very, very, very cautious of that, because I mean, you've seen what they're capable of. Even if they were coming from a quote unquote good place, like, of course it wasn't a good place for you, it was a good place to benefit the person that they're with, but even if they were doing it from a good place, then they still know that their actions have big consequences, and they've seen that and still have chosen behave and continue their actions, as such. So just don't forget that, you know what I mean? But there have been dreams of some people reconciling, and I don't really want to say this because I don't want to allude to anything, but I have had a dream where for someone, the money and the business partnership and just the happiness is going to come as a result of the reconciliation with this person. And it's going to be something that you're probably going to have to keep from family for a while, because I'm getting, there is a lot that has happened, a lot that has transpired, but I almost really don't want to say that, because if it's just taking you a long time, like I said, in the dream, the child was a teenager. So if it's taking you over a decade to heal, then I would be very cautious about stepping back into the same scenario that caused you so much pain. But like I said, for someone out there, the reconciliation or the new relationship that's bringing an abundance may actually be, the reconciliation with this person. But once again, that is not everyone. You have to know your situation. You know what I mean? But there is someone out there, like, this person wants you back, and I would say, for when you have this conversation with this person, I would say it'd be a good idea to forgive them, not for them, but for you. You know what I mean? Because some people are really not going to want to hear it. But for someone out there, for maybe a few people out there, the reason this person has been absent and doing what they're doing is because they're trying to appease the person that they're with. But that's still not right. It's still not right, and it's still not fair, especially to that child, because if the person that you're with is so insecure that they don't want you around me, but they are okay with you not being there for a child, that's absolutely insane to me. That's absolutely insane to me. And the fact that you dated and even proceeded to marry someone so insecure you can't even be there for your child is just wild to me. It's just wild to me. But you chose it. And like I said, for someone out there, even though they're unhappy, they're like, I made my bed, so now I have to lie in it. So it's almost like they're punishing themselves by forcing themselves to live in this misery and unhappiness, because, that's a decision that they've made, and they've caused other people, i.e. you, and, more importantly, your child, to be unhappy as a result of the decision that they've made. So, like, they don't get to just move on and be happy. Now they have to, in a sense, kind of suffer as well, because they've caused other people to suffer, right? That's how, like, a specific person is kind of looking at it, right? But for someone else out there, they're not leaving because of fear. I don't know what exactly they're afraid of, you know what I mean? But they're staying out of fear. But there is something about, like, needing to have this conversation. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up so that I don't get to the point of being, like, redundant. But there is, like, this thing about needing to have this conversation, needing to heal that wound, needing to melt that icebox where your heart used to be. Because once you do that, you're going to have blessings. Like I said, you're going to have big blessings that are coming in. And one of those big blessings is really going to be happiness. One of those pieces of abundance is going to be an abundance of happiness, to where like literally some of you are going to be like, I don't even care about that check anymore. Like I don't even care about it anymore. Although like right now you probably still care about it, to an extent. Some of y'all are gonna be like, I really don't even care, like what check. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't even matter. But there's definitely something about like, I don't want to say needing to swallow your pride, but something about like, this person is going to reach out. If this is for you, they're going to reach out to y'all's child first. Allow them to have that conversation. Allow them to mend that relationship, so that your child can mend that wound, so that your child is not going through adulthood with an icebox where their heart used to be, like you are. You know what I mean? Like, give your child a chance. And then once that divine masculine has that conversation with that child, they're going to use that as a way to like maneuver over to have the conversation with you. And do it when you're ready. I'm not saying like because they call you, Monday, that you have to have the conversation Monday. If you're not ready to have the conversation until Friday or the next week, like do it when you're ready. You know what I mean? Have the conversation when you're ready. But there's really something about you needing to have this conversation, because like I'm telling you, like I'm going to end this by saying the title. This conversation is going to benefit you more than that check ever could. Okay, so that's it. This has been way longer than what I intended it to be, and I apologize for that, because I've been working on trying to keep them shorter. But like, that's it. That's the message for today. If you made it this far, like as always, thank you for listening. Okay, bye.